Of course, cattle or cows are the most common type of large domesticated animals. An estimated 1.3 billion cattle are in the world right now. Animal production in many African countries contributes 20 to 30% of agricultural gross domestic products. 20 to 30% domestic agricultural gross domestic products. Livestock accounts for 1/3 of Nigeria's agricultural GDP, providing income, employment, food, and transport. Lagos alone consumes about 6,000 cows a day. And Nigeria might in the near future suffer scarcity of livestock because of the quantum of cows consumed daily without commensurate calving. Nigeria is #1 in livestock in Africa, but does not contribute to GDP significantly. Now, if we take a look at the analysis of livestock that we have in Nigeria, let's break it down for you. In Nigeria right now, according to the National Agricultural Sample Survey, we do have 19.5 million cattle, 72.5 million goats, 41.3 million sheep, 7.1 million pigs, 28,000 camels, 145 million chickens, 11.6 million ducks, 1.2 million turkeys, 974,499 donkeys. And Nigerian cows are the worst producers of milk across the world. One Nigerian cow produces just an average of 1 liter of milk a day, while a cow in Saudi Arabia produces about 30 to 40 liters of milk a day. A cow in Kenya or in some other African countries produce about 10 to 15 liters of milk a day, but a Nigerian cow produces just 1 liter of milk a day. The average price of a cow in Nigeria is 100,000 naira. Now, let's take a look at the difference between cattle colonies and ranches. We had to do our research on that. A colony is a biological expression for any species of animals, whether by nature or by human design, that are found in a large community sharing the same terrain, while a ranch is an area of land including various structures given primarily to the practice of ranching, is the practice of raising livestock such as cattle, sheep for meat or wool. That's it on the screen. In a colony, about 20 to 30 ranchers can share the same colony. A ranch is usually owned by an individual or a company with fewer number of animals. So in a colony, you can have over 200, 300, or 100 cows. Ranching and grazing reserves are recognized in the Nigerian Constitution. For now, we don't have cattle colonies in the Nigerian Constitution. Now, global facts on ranching. The largest cattle ranch in the world is found in Australia, which is called the Anna Station. It is the largest with 23,677 kilometers. The cattle industry in the Northern Territory of Australia provides in excess of 1,800 jobs and contributes largely to the GDP. It's the third largest GDP earner in Australia, equating to more than 60% of primary production. Now, countries with largest amount of ranches include Australia, Canada, Chile, Costa Rica, France, the US, Spain, Mexico, and even Denmark. In Denmark, there are a lot of ranches there. Some ranches in the western states are under the Federal Bureau of Land Management. That is about 40% of ranches in the United States. Now, let's come down to Africa. African countries with land with large ranches include South Africa. We also have ranches in Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. Tanzania has a cattle population of 21.3 million, making them the largest in Africa. Don't forget that I told you that in Nigeria we have 19.5 million cattle, so Tanzania is ahead of us. It has the largest cattle population in Africa. 97% of the cattle in Southern Africa are not by smallholders in good spaced land. In South Africa, majority of the ranches are owned by foreigners, while 7,000 to 10,000 farmers in South Africa derive massive income from ranching. Approximately 2.7 million hectares of this total, which is roughly 20%, is commercial farmland being managed for ranching in South Africa. Now, let's move ahead. State governors and groups that have rejected the cattle colony project. Ebonyi State says that cattle colonies is a strange and deceptive idea. It opts for ranching system instead. Ekiti says it will not surrender its land for any cattle colony. That came in from Ayo Fayose, the governor of Ekiti State. Abia State says that it rejects any plan to establish cattle colonies, that they do not have enough land for agricultural activities, and their people want more land to farm. That came in from Governor Ikpeazu. Afenifere says the idea of cattle colonies is an insult to Nigerians. Ohaneze Ndigbo says we do not need cattle colonies in the south. It's creating cattle colonies in areas where animals are not bred will lead to more problems. Oyo says we will examine the content and modality of the federal government proposed cattle colonies before allotting land for the project. Edo State says the state government would also not take any decision until due consultation is done. Taraba State says the state has no land for cattle colonies as proposed by the federal government. The state government had enacted a law for the establishment of ranches, which would come into effect on January 24th. Now, a committee, a national executive committee has been set up to tackle the herdsmen and farmers conflict. The vice president and 9 governors, I think, yes, 9 governors, if we have that, let's put it on the screen. Kano State Governor, Zamfara Kaduna State, that's Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara, Governor Ganduje of Kano, Governor Bindo of Adamawa, Samuel Etom of Benue State, Darius Ishaku Taraba, Godwin Obaseki Edo, David Umahi of Ebonyi, and Governor Jumobi of Oyo State. Now, the Métis Allah stance on ranching. Let's take you through that. The group says the species of cow they have as subsistence livestock farmers are not suitable for ranching in the country. It says that anti-open grazing law is unconstitutional against our fundamental rights of freedom and freedom of movement. Anti-open grazing laws are being used as campaigns by some people to win votes in the 2019 elections. The country's geographical location is not suitable for it, as all previous ranches collapsed due to geographical location of the country, and we can only be confined to ranching if the livestock are replaced with breeds suitable for ranching. Moving ahead, the National Secretary of Métis Allah, Kantahore, that's Saleh Al-Hassan, says that interstate movement of pastoralists are similar to interstate commerce. That's what he said. Do not that you should take into cognizance climatic conditions. And he went further to say that agriculture is still practiced at a primitive stage in Nigeria, not yet global practice. Then why should you expect herders to practice global to practice or to fall in line with global practice? I think I've given you all sides of the matter this morning. We really had to do the research on this so that we are not found also in the noise. We are coming to you quite intellectually this morning, and I hope that the government will listen in as much as we've tried to do our research on this topic. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, we'll try as much as possible to find solutions to what is currently happening right now. For those that watched the show last week, it was a very painful one that Benue State will bury over 70 people in mass graves due to the crisis and the conflicts. And I did see on that show that that violence must stop, the destruction and that wasting must stop, but that the government has all the apparatus on its table to be holistic and be strategic in the real sense of strategy, not the way government uses strategy. They should go and find out what strategy means and sit down on their table, roll up their sleeves, because it is time for governance and it is time for leadership, especially spearheaded by the president. The president's silence is so loud, he should come to the table and find a holistic solution to this. When I was thinking about this, what came to my mind is we need to look at even the headers. As Nigerians, we need to look at the headers in the sense that we need to also improve them economically. How much sense does it make for someone to carry cows all the way from the north down to the south, trekking, no economic activity for you. The cows, you can see a cow in Nigeria produces 1 liter of milk. So we are not maximizing. So we need to maximize even the humans, and we need to maximize the cows. So I think the president should go ahead and think holistically about what to do. It's not about tribalistic or ethnicity or whatever, or religion. We should go beyond that and fix that problem. Let's quickly take a break. We'll be right back. Don't forget, join us on our social media platforms. Tweet me right about now, Nancy Ilo on Twitter, and Moneyline AIT. We'll be right back.